Hello again, Daniel Swabby here, Juggalo Cree. Anyways, uh, so I looked into this Bernstein thing, and I say stain with stain because that's all I hear is stain, like Bernstein. Like it just doesn't make sense to me because, as I said, I grew up with Berenstain Bears as a kid. I grew up listening to audio tapes in grade, I think it was like maybe grade one or something like that, kindergarten maybe. But anyways, I remember listening to an audio tape, and it was the original audio tape was called "The Bernstein Bears in a Spooky Old Tree," and it was one of those read along kind of audio tapes. You read with it. I went to the library trying to find that very book. 1978's The Bernstein Bears. Bernstein. I gotta get used to saying Steen because that's what I was used to being originally. The only time I called it Stain Bears was when I sang the theme song in front of my cousin, and he just laughed at me and said it's Steen Bears, not Stain. But anyways, I'm going off topic. Here we go. Now I went to the library looking for Bernstein Bears, and all I found one book, but it was a brand new book from 2011, and it was spelled Berenstain, like Stan, Ain. Anyways, so I went looking around, and I couldn't find any more Berenstain books. So I asked the secretary there at the desk. I said, "Do you have any Berenstain Bears books?" And I said specifically like that, Berenstain. Maybe she'd correct me. I figured she didn't correct me. She just said, "Okay, I'll show you." And she took me to this one rack of Bernstein. I say stain because that's what they were, Bernstein books, and they were also just reissues. And I said, "Well, I'm trying to find the classic books from the '70s." And what she said to me kind of caught me off guard, which was funny. But she said we don't keep books from '60s and '70s because they're old. Like books don't last that long. I felt like saying I beg to differ. I have books back home that are from '50s, '40s, and they're still in good shape. But it's besides the point. And but yeah, that just bewildered me when she said that. We don't keep books from the '60s or '70s because they rot or something like that. Well, I kind of proved her wrong because I not only was I looking for Bernstein Bear books, I looked up the Kennedy assassination books, and I was trying to find anything like from back in the day as well, just like the Bernstein books. And every book I found were affected by the Mandela effect. They had 6 people in a vehicle and everything. And so I found the money pot. November 22nd, 1963. You are the jury. From the author Ken Berlin. I don't know who he is, never heard of him. But, and I agree with her, some of the book is deteriorated. But it's not like it'll fall apart if you open up a page. Deterioration. Anyways, as I was saying, she said that the library doesn't keep any books from '73 or '70s or '60s. Well, I proved it wrong. Right there. It says published 1973. I don't see anything wrong with this book. I'll get back to this book later. Back to the Bernstein books. So I couldn't find the proper Bernstein Bears books at that library, the main library downtown at the core. So I just checked this book out, also along with this one. I'll get to these in a minute. As I said, there's a wicked residue pick in here. I'll get to it. But here we go. Okay. So I went home, and there's a library at the train station where I live. I know what you're thinking. Libraries at a train station? Weird. Yeah, we Canadians have libraries in our train stations. Sorry. going off topic. Okay, so I went to the train station. I went to the Westbrook Library, and I asked them if they had any Bernstein books. And again, I said Bernstein book, Bernstein, and they didn't correct me or nothing. He looked it up, and he asked me any particular book I was looking for, and I said specifically, "Oh, it's a book from 1978 called The Bernstein Bears, and the Spooky Old Tree." Bernstein Bears, and he said, "Okay, well, you looked it up," and then he said, "Well, what are you talking about? It is here." And I was like, "What?" He said, "It's in the rack." So we went back to the rack where the first lady. I asked her, I'm skipping ahead here, but I asked one lady if they had Bernstein books, and she showed me some books, but they were reprints, like I said. And so he found my book for me. It was like, hallelujah, I have my book. But then it pissed me off when I found it. I was like, oh my God. Please tell me it's not the actual book. And I opened it. And I looked through it, but when you look at it, it's a brand new book. It smells brand new. It has that fresh, brand new book smell, you know. If you buy a book and you want to, when you open it, you get that smell. I was looking through this, and I found two anomalies. Okay, first before I show you this anomaly, I'm going to show you what it says on here. Stan and Jan. That's how I always remember them. Stan and Jan Berenstein. Stan and Jan Berenstein. I remember that because right at the beginning of the intro, we had the on audio tapes. You have a woman or a guy saying their name, and they kept saying Stan and Jan, Stan and Jan, Stan and Jan Berenstein. Okay, now this is my anomalies here. I went into this thinking, oh my God, I got fucked over because Mandela effect fucked me. I can't debunk this. But I did. It says 1978, but it also says cover copyright and the reprint. And now, here's the other anomaly. Remember when I showed you this? Stan and Jan Bernstein. Okay, now. I always knew them as Stan and Jan Bernstein. This blew my mind. Copyright Stanley and Janice Bernstein. And that's another thing I was wondering. Okay, here's one thing. You know how everything these days has like a trademark beside it? Okay. I'll show you a franchise example. Okay. Every movie, every book, everything has this beside it. A little, you can't see it that far, but it says TM, meaning trademark. Trademark. Or they'll have the little C for like a copyright. This is what is getting to me. I hear they say once you get a copyright, you basically own that right. And you agree to put your name on whatever that is you want to do it. I don't see no trademark or copyright symbol on this at all. I see one in the book. Copyright. And there's a little C. But yeah, if you have this copy of this book and it's actually spelled the proper way, yes, I said proper way, because anybody who thinks this is the proper way, they're either from this certain timeline or not. They're they're just brainwashed and foolishly sleeping and thinking that, oh, this nothing's happened to the world. Okay, now that that's out of the picture, before I go into my JFK books, I was walking around today doing my thing. I asked a couple of my teachers. One of my teachers, she was an older woman. Like, I asked her because she's older. Like, she's from that time, 1960s. Like, she was probably like a teenager, maybe preteen, something like that. I don't know. But I went up to her and asked her how many people were in the car. She automatically said 4. And this is before I decided to download a picture to start showing people and fuck them up even more. Well, sorry, messed them up even more. And I said, like, you said there's four people. Is there? Yeah. And I said that I agree with you. I did a book report, and there was 4 people. So I thought nothing of it. And then I asked one of my other teachers, and this one, I don't know if it's a Mandela effect or if it's just changing of the dimensions. But I asked another teacher of mine, and he's from the UK or that around that area. I know a lot of people are probably saying, Australia's nowhere near the UK. Anyways, I said to them, have you ever heard of a tree kangaroo? And he just kind of looked at me like, no, what's a tree kangaroo? I said, well, apparently they exist. They're in Australia. Well, I said Australia because, well, I actually looked into it, and it's not Australia. It's New Guinea. Apparently these tree kangaroos have been around for ages in New Guinea. We just haven't discovered them. And that they're going extinct. What? Who the fuck is hunting these things if they're going extinct? And if we just discovered them, who the fuck is hunting them? But anyways, I asked him that, and he looked at me bewildered, like I never heard of a tree kangaroo. So this time I actually figured, okay, well, people are looking at me like I'm weird, because the teacher beside me looked at me like I was like, what? And I just looked at her and said, they're real. Google it. Google it if you don't believe me. And she just kind of shook her head and said, okay, whatever. So I figured, okay, well, this kind of makes me feel awkward, because even everybody around me was kind of thinking, like, what's he talking about? So I picked up my phone, Googled tree kangaroos. Yes, it's on Google, so don't just think I'm making shit up. Anyways, I found a picture. I showed it to him. I showed it to the male teacher first, the guy teacher. Showed it to him and I said, this is a tree kangaroo. He just shocked, kind of took a step back and said, wow, it really does look like a kangaroo. Like, his mom was still in denial that it wasn't real. And from then, I went back to that teacher that looked at me with the you're crazy kind of look. And I'll be right back. I gotta pause this. Okay, as I was saying, yeah, this view shifted. I'm in the elevator. Anyways, as I was saying, I showed the teacher that was shocked when I first mentioned that to her, and she was in shock too. So it was just awkward, and I gotta pause you again because I'm at my stop. See you soon.